This is AntiTube. This video is part one of a project to replace the top gear on a vertical shaft on this Singer Model 466. I haven't worked on this model before, so I'm just going to kind of dig in and see what I find, and you can come along for the adventure if you are interested. Model 466 is one of several models during the decade this was built and that has a plastic gear on the top of this vertical shaft that is well known to get dried out and brittle and break off teeth, and the whole gear can crack and fall off the vertical shaft, and that vertical shaft runs the pulley here and a pulley here to turn the hook with a belt in between, and so when that fails your hook won't turn and you can't sew. So far these are the only parts of this particular gear I was able to find. The gear has a metal base upon which this plastic gear is attached, and I've only seen this white, I guess that'll show up in the video, I've only seen these white particles once before, and that was on a machine where somebody used lithium grease on a bunch of the parts. And in my opinion, the lithium grease, many of them get dry and very hard, so that may not have helped. But the gear, when it was installed, is white, and you see that it's turned brownish color now, and I think that's due to heat partially, and I think it's due to people putting grease and oil on the gear. So we'll get into that about greasing plastic gears much later in this playlist, but that's what this is about. Okay, so I'm just going to start the way I would normally start with a machine like this kind of a project, and I'm going to take off the face plate. The face of the machine plate covering the face is the face plate, and this one attaches with a little thumb screw, and that's it. And then there's a little thread guide that sticks out, but it'll just come off like that, bringing that little attached thread guide with it. So that's how easy. We're off to a good start, huh? As always, be sure you keep your screws and stuff organized when you take them off, because it might be a while before you get back to the project. Life happens sometimes, and you don't want to come back later and say, wait a minute, what was this screw for? So the next thing I would do is take off the arm cover. This is the arm, upright part of the arm, and the arm. So this is the arm cover, and on this one there are two screws up here that you loosen, and then you can lift this straight up. It'll come right up off of the pressure dial for the pressor bar, and you just come right up, and I'll bring the screws with it here and show it to you. There's another thread guide that's attached, so it shouldn't be falling off, and there one a screw, and here one a screw. It's kind of what it looks like underneath. Cosmetically, this is a nice machine. It's dusty. It has some paint chips down here, and but really it's a pretty little machine. Here are the type of screws on the arm cover. Few machines have this style, many just have kind of regular screws, but I'll put those aside in a special place. And then I'm going to move on to the arm cover end. Okay. Let's get out here where you can see it a little bit. This is more commonly called the motor cover plate, but it's really the arm end cover. Okay. And there's 2 screws that hold that. So there's no need to remove the hand wheel at this point. We just want to loosen the 2 screws or take them out completely. These are a little bit more what I would call a regular screw, right? So we'll take this one. I started this one earlier. We'll take, not enough I guess. We'll take this one out. And these you want to pay attention when you take out because they are not the same length. One is a little bit longer. The top one is a little bit longer than the bottom one. Okay? So, however you want to keep track of that, do that. And I'll show you why that is, but we'll just reach here by the plug receptacle and pull off the plate here. There's the plate. There's the inside. Okay. And the bottom screw is a little bit shorter because it has a second duty here, or second. This is a heavy machine, I'll tell you that. It has a second function of holding the receptacle in place. It has a screw here that stays in, but the bottom arm end cover also goes in here to stabilize this, and it's a little shorter. And then the top one, the receptacle for it, the hole for it, is farther back, so that's why it's longer. Okay, so there is the end cover, the arm end cover. Now I'm going to go back here. If there's I already took the needle out of this in the other video, but if you have a needle, I take it out. You can take the presser foot off if you want. So we're going to be doing some work on the machine. It also has a little thumb screw, so I think it's different than the face plate thumb screw, so don't get those mixed up. And then I'm going to start by taking off the needle plate, and I'm going to open the slide plate, pull it back, and just grab that with my thumb and lift it up. There's a little kind of spring-loaded pin here that helps secure this. So if you lift it up, let's see, I should have mentioned, I always raise the needle bar up to needle bar up to the high point to do this, and then we'll lift this up and slide it out from under. Oh, it normally doesn't stay up like this. This machine's dirty and dry, so that usually just goes right back down. And for the heck of it, while I'm here, I will show you to put it back in, needle bar up. Use the little slot there to kind of push under and pry that up a little bit, and then you drop it in place. So up and off, and then this is just a solid pin right here. This is just a solid pin that stabilizes the other end of the plate. Okay? Alright. Then, while I have this, I'm going to keep that needle bar up, and I'd like to remove the bobbin case at this point. I just get it out of the way here. So this has a bobbin case positioning bracket with a little spring on it, but there's a little part that sticks up you can get your thumbnail under, or you can get the tip of a screwdriver under there and use that to lift it up. See that bigger screw in the front right there? We're going to lift that up off that screw and just swing it to the right, and you'll see it doesn't lift very much and it doesn't slide over very much. Just a little, just enough to lift it up off the screw and then slide it over, and that's going to allow me to twist the bobbin case off of the little shelf, the race of the hook. There's my non-working hook, and I'll take out this Class 66 bobbin case. Alright, then I'm just going to push this positioning bracket over and back on the screw. Now I'm going to turn because I want my feed dog to go down now, because I'm going to take off this slide plate. I want it off. So I'm just going to push it like you'd push it close, but now I'm going to keep going. There's a little spring here. I'm going to slide it off the back of the spring. So I'm going to lift this back end up a little bit, just enough to get it up above the feed dog, and then I'm going to keep pushing on the front of this, and it's going to pop off the spring like that. See that little spring? Okay. And then here is the slide plate. And the way it stays on that spring is there's these little slots on the side here that you can clean and put a drop of oil on once in a while. But the back end, they're kind of crimped closed, while the front end is open. So I'm just going to show you quickly how to put this back on if you've never done it. You're going to start behind the spring, right? And you're going to lay it in on the shelf. You're going to get it up close to the spring, and then you're going to take like a screwdriver. You don't need one this small, but it's my favorite. And you're just going to tilt up, get it under there, and lift up the end of that tip of the spring and slide this on it. Now don't go too far, because you still have to come over here and lift this side, and see how it's at an angle now, so I can get that and get that side of the spring in. Then it seats on there, and you bring it forward, and when it goes back and the spring hits those crimped ends, it stops. So don't take it off. Don't force it off. Just put it towards the back, lift up the back end above the feed dog, and just keep pushing. Ta-da! Easy peasy, right? Okay. Get my needle plate and cover plate, slide cover plate out of the way. Now I want to take off the bottom cover plate, and this is the bottom of the machine, and this is the cover plate. This one has a little, what I call, screw washer. It's like a threaded washer, and there's a slot in it for a straight bladed screwdriver if it's on tight. It kind of really should just be finger tightened, but there's also one that's a bigger knob type thumb screw. So I've got the threaded washer nut. Can you see that slot right there? Am I getting the light on there? Yeah. Okay. So, get that put in a place. And then this little screw with the slot in it, that slots to screw it in the machine, that should stay in when you take that off. And hopefully you'll find some kind of a little felt washer in there. This one's beat up, but it's better than nothing, so I'm going to keep it if in case. And then we want to find a way to get a little fingernail grip or something on this machine plate bottom cover. I see a little gap right here, so I'll just stick that in and pry it off. And really you're taking it off that center screw. Okay? Give you a good chance to, at the minimum, take your lint brush and take this someplace and brush it off. Now, I'm exposing the pulley on the upright shaft and the tensioner, where you can adjust the tension on the belt, and then the pulley on the hook shaft, bottom of the hook shaft. That's what makes the hook go. So when you turn the hand wheel, this should turn, which in turn would turn the hook pulley. But because that plastic gear at the top of this is gone, there's nothing for the matching gear on the arm to mate up with and make a turn. So here we go. That's all pretty straightforward, right? So now we come to kind of to the fun part of plates. And this is called control panel. This is the control panel. This plastic panel here is all the control panel. And I want to pull this off, and I'm hoping I'll get lucky like on the 457, and I'll see a way to get in, at least with a screwdriver, and get on the set screw that's holding the old gear base onto the shaft. And I took some pictures down in there, but you can certainly see the top of this gear. This is the gear on the horizontal arm shaft. You can see that gear turning. Down below it should be the top of this gear, and with the teeth, which are gone here, but the teeth of this match up with the teeth of that, and that's what rotates the shaft. So here's a couple quick pictures to show you kind of, if you see this, that's in there, that's why your hook isn't rotating. Okay, so you see I just have the metal base now. Anyway, I wanted to show you that before I took off this plate. So that's what I'm going to do next, is take off the control panel. There's a few steps to do that. So where I'm going to start is this little, start taking off the control panel. I'm going to take off this little part that's like the part of the auto stop for the bobbin when you're winding the bobbin. This is adjustable when you set up your machine. See how it turns? You get the bobbin on here, push it over. This will be somewhere on the inside of the two bobbin sides if you want, and so that when the bobbin gets to how full you've set this, the thread has pushed this far enough away that the friction ring or rubber tire on the bobbin winder stops turning. Okay, and this is just this kind of off-center front and just a regular screw inside. Okay. Then I want to take off the on and off switch. This switch turns the motor and light on at the same time, and it's just like a compression spring built into there. There's no set screw, so it's supposed to pull right off. Right, so I never have much luck with that. So again, a very small straight edge, a small screwdriver. Is you go in from the side and pull what I can a little bit, and just get a little bit of the tip under there, okay? And then when I have that in there, I'm going to just twist the screwdriver. I don't want to pry like that. I want to just twist that screwdriver a little bit, and that usually will start it. There we go. Rock it back and forth a little. Now I can tell it's very loose, so it should come right off. So you got a flat spot there, and there's like a flat spring in there. There's a little piece of metal in there, spring, and then you're going to have a flat side on the switch itself, which in this case is up here, is my flat side. So when I go to put this back together, here's my flat, there's my flat, and I'll line those up and push it on and get it on there good. Okay? There we go. So that leaves this rascal, the dial. Boy, this dial's really stiff. Now some of the service manuals say that you slip a 2-ply something back here, like a two-ply piece of paper, you know, and pull it off. And in another video I made about this type of a dial, I used some fabric folded over and put in there, pulled and pulled, and it finally came off, and man, did this go flying. Woohoo! So thanks to Terry Fielding at TNTrepair.com in American Samoa, the pioneer of do-it-yourself Singer repair and parts seller. Hey Terry. So anyway, I saw a paper that he wrote, one of the guides I bought from him, where he uses a tool to pull that off. So that's what I'm going to try this time to get this off, because it just supposed to, boom, come right off. Okay, so let me set up for that. I can get a good view of it, and we'll do that. Okay, now to try and get this dial off, I'm going to turn it to 0. Okay, 0. I prefer to lay it down, protect it a little with a towel, and I'm going to use this pair of channel locks to try and pull this off without doing a lot of damage. But I am going to protect it a little bit with this microfiber towel, and I'm going to grab it like that, and I'm going to brace my hand down here with this and see if I can lift it straight up. Hey, okay, at least it's still hard to get off, but at least it didn't come flying at me. So that's good, right? And remember the flat part I was telling you about on the switch? Here's a idea of what I call a pressure spring. It's a little bit bigger. It's kind of a rounded piece of stiff spring, pushed into a slot, and on here there's a flat spot on this black part that sticks up. Line up that flat part to that flat part and get it on there, and then compress it down. Okay. Oh, I hardly pushed that on. It was already still stiff to come off. Okay. Does this come off? Not yet. So we'll see about that. But I got the dial off, which of course you have to do to get the control panel off, right? So let me set this back up, I guess. And matter of fact, let me just reset everything. Okay, well, I fooled around with it. I ended up putting it back almost where I am. But you can't take this off yet. You can't take the control panel off because there's 5 clips on 4 posts. There's posts inside that come from here, the little plastic posts, and they go through holes, and then they have these, I guess I'm going to call them a retainer clip. And they have these little, this end isn't solid together. Kind of comes up and they cross over each other there. So when you go to put them on or off, you take a pair of needle nose like this and you squeeze those 2 little tabs together, and it spreads the opening apart just a little bit. Here's the back side of it. I guess just so that you can get it on and off of that little post. Okay, so those are the, and there's 5 of these, and that's the last step to getting this control panel off. And the locations inside are here, kind of here, in this corner, and on either side of the on-off switch. Okay, so I took this one off, and I took this one off, and I took this one off. I finally figured a way to get it without taking the switch. There's a screw washer in here you can undo and push the switch in. Then you can see better. I'll show you that in a minute. And let me show you what this, see, will this go up anymore? Oh yeah. Okay, let me show you a picture of what this one looks like. I'm going to show you how to take it off. Okay, so there you kind of see it, and hopefully you see it right there sitting on the post. So I'm just going to grab those 2 little ears and squeeze and hold them and gently wiggle that thing up. See? Came right off. That was easy. So now you see the control panel post there, right? So I got that one off. Here's another post. This one is kind of a tight fit, but there's one right in that corner. And the clip was okay. It was just squeezing it. It made it tight to a... Oh, wait a minute. The third one on the top is a little tight in here with the hand wheel and all that stuff. So it didn't seem to want to wiggle off too good, but it did. Okay. Then let's see what we got back here. Right? I think this is going to be better if I stand it up. I think that's what I was thinking about before. Let's see, is this going to work? Oh, there it is. Okay. So here's the one that would be on the right side of the switch when you're looking at it. This is a bracket that holds the stitch and the wiring. And then the other one is back down in here. And that's a little harder to get to without taking this out. But let me see if we can do that. But first I'm just going to take this one, which you can easily see here, right? Are we seeing that? I wish I had a bigger workbench right here. So I'm going to just twist that on the ears a little, see if I can go in here with that and grab those two little ears and you know, when I plot my videos out and like how I'm going to show it best on the camera and all that, it always seems I have these great ideas. But when I get in here to do it, I can't quite get a grip on that. Bummer. So I'm wondering if I can get on the side of one of those tabs and spin this clip around a little bit on that post, is what I'm thinking I might be able to do. There. So that's what I did. I couldn't get a grip on the ears here, so I stuck my screwdriver in there and I just pushed on this and moved it up to where you see it now, with the hopes that now I can get the tip of my needle nose on there, squeeze those two little ears and pull that thing off. When you look down in there, you can take the one off I just took off. This is the switch bracket. Directly across from here is the other one. It's over here, kind of hiding a little bit behind the switch and the bracket. But what I was able to do, see, was go in from the bottom of the machine and go next to the feed rock shaft and pinch that little, those tabs together and pull it up off of the post and bring it out. And it's like maybe somebody had done that before, because the tabs were pointed straight down. That's what gave me the idea of going in from the bottom. So I hope that makes sense to you. Okay, so let's see if I can get this guy back up here. I say guy, I don't know, the machine hasn't told me its name yet, so it's probably wondering what I'm doing to it. But now, you know, these have a little bit of flex because this one, the left, center, right, because there's little notches in the plastic. So be careful if it hangs up there. These other ones, I usually just kind of put in the middle. And I should be able to just take this control panel right off. It's kind of hanging up on this lever, so I'm just going to push that lever down a little bit and get it off. Phew! How you like that? All that to get this panel off. It seemed like it was easier when I did that Model 457. Okay, so there's all the covers and stuff that I want to remove, and in part 2, I get a chance to film that. We're going to see if we can get in here somehow and get access to the set screw on the base of that gear. Okay, so that's the end of part 1. Cover removal, Singer Model 466. Yippee-yi-yay. Thanks a lot for tuning in. I always appreciate my viewers, and I hope you'll come back when I get part 2 up there. And please take care of yourself, okay?